Well, good evening, everyone, and good evening, Miss, and whoever is watching this video. Today, me, Jan Aguirre, I'm going to explain the triptych about the story of the pit and the pendulum made by Edgar Allan Poe. So now let's get started. First up, I want to talk about the cover that I chose for the triptych, which is this one right here, where the prisoner is being carried away by the guards to his dungeon. And throughout the whole video, I'm going to attach images in this side of the bar, in this side of the video, if you can say, so it's easier to understand which parts of the triptych I'm going to be mentioning. And now moving on to the second page, which is the summary. This one right here, or right here as well. So in summary, in this terrifying tale, a man is condemned to death by the Spanish Inquisition. And now, before continuing, I want to briefly talk about the Inquisition. So in the medieval age, there was like this overpowering of the church that led to the church having like a lot of power and like how can I say like having too much power on the ideas of the people, as well as having extreme laws. For example, if you had any idea that was against the sacred writings such as the Bible, then you could probably risk being being lit on fire and or being beheaded, which is really bad. And now, if you want to learn more about the topic, there's this great anime that you should totally watch. I strongly recommend it, called Orb on the Movements of the Earth. It talks about this young boy that discovers about the movement of the earth, but it was against the church laws, well, the sacred writings, so if he showed it to the public, he was most likely going to be condemned. So now continuing with the summary. He awakens in a dark, mysterious dungeon where he faces mental and physical torture, such as nearly falling into a deep pit and being tied down under a deadly swinging pendulum, which is really scary. If you like, imagine being tied down and having a sharp pendulum just swinging over you. Yeah, it will probably be scary. And not only to mention that you have a pit near to you where you can probably fall off to your death. And continuing, as the horrors intensify, he almost falls into the abyss, but he is miraculously rescued by the General Lasalle and the French army just in time. Now continue with the third page of triptych characters and settings. Which in characters from the story we have the narrator, which is the unnamed prisoner, and the victim of the Inquisition. As well, we have the Spanish Inquisition judges that were the responsible for sentencing him to death, and the General Lasalle that came him to save him. And as well, we can probably talk about the appearance of the guards, but I don't know if it counts. And the settings. The story is set in a dungeon in Toledo, Spain, during the time of the Spanish Inquisition. And describing the site that he was located in the dungeon, it was a dark, damp cell with shifting walls, a central pit, and a deadly pendulum. Now continue with the next page about my personal summary and opinion. So for me, my own summary in my own words would be that this story shows how fear can be more torturous than physical pain. And the narrator wakes up in a dungeon where he faces terrifying things, like a pit meant for him to fall into, as well as a sharp pendulum slowly descending to cut him in half. And the Inquisition tried to make him go mad, and he is rescued at last. And my personal opinion. So, in my opinion, the story is really like disturbing and, well, not so scary to be honest, but it is quite disturbing. And it is also very intense, but I really enjoyed the suspense that it had from how the prisoner was like completely desperate to find a solution to save himself. Like my favorite part is when he came up with the idea to get the rats to break him free by the rats eating the belt that had him tied up. And I would highly recommend this to anyone that is like interested in suspense or thriller. And now moving on to the glossary, which has like 10 words. Yes, it has 10 words, which I chose these ones right here, or you can see right here better. I chose pendulum, and pendulum is a swinging weight using clocks or torture Inquisition, a court established to punish heresy, despair, feeling of complete hopelessness, and hallucination, imagine things due to fear or drugs, escape to break free from captivity, chains, restraints used to tie prisoner, rats, rodents that appear in the dungeon, pit, a deep hole in the ground, torture, infliction of severe pain, dungeon, a dark underground prison. And lastly, my drawing about the story that I found like the most interesting. And I choose to draw this part right here. Or you can see better right here. And I decided to draw this because it was showing how the pendulum was slowly descending, probably going to cut him in half, well, at his heart technically, as it was explained in the story, and the pit just right side of him, like at the side of him, as well as the rats coming up, and he coming to the idea to get the rat to break him free. And yeah, the story was really amazing for me. It was not so scary, but it was really interesting, and I would totally recommend it to people. But as well, there are many stories left to see, and I'm really curious to see them all. And thank you very much for viewing the video, and I'll see you later. Goodbye.